The Humboldt Schools, motivating achievement since 1906.
Welcome to the March edition of the Humboldt Experience. My name is Dan Streeter and I am the proud superintendent of the Humboldt Unified School District, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Really, we've been focusing these last couple months on student experiences, and today we're going to talk with a couple of students from the district and share some of the unique things that are happening here in the Humboldt Unified School District. Great guests from the high school as well as some of our elementary students who are going to talk a little bit about what it's like to fly an airplane. But before we get into those students, we need to recognize the HUSD VIPs for the month of February, actually, as our last board meeting was at Granville Elementary, and we got to recognize some outstanding employees and partners with the district. First, the HUSD Certified Employee of the Month was Mr. Josh Schreiner. Mr. Schreiner is a valuable member of the team, one of those teachers who wears many different hats: teacher, coach, mentor for students and families. Really, when you talk about the importance of relationships, Mr. Schreiner could probably provide a master's level class each and every day on what that means and what that looks like. He's provided valuable leadership with our positive behavior intervention program. He's a member of his grade levels professional learning community, and he's been an instrumental part of the AVID program at Granville Elementary School. So on behalf of Granville and the Humboldt Unified School District, I want to thank Mr. Schreiner for his invaluable contributions to our school. It's a pleasure for me to present him as the HUSD VIP Certified Employee of the Month. And I do have to note, Mr. Schreiner had my youngest son twice, once in third grade and once in fifth grade, so he certainly earned this honor for just surviving the years of CADE. Our Classified Employee of the Month, Miss Kathleen Rotes, and really I can't think of somebody who represents all that's great about our district more than Mrs. Rotes. She's served the district as a computer lab aide. Now she's been moved up into the front office where she works as the attendant secretary. Kathleen is one of those people that is a true team player, super positive person, really just one of those people that you want to have a part of your school community. Whatever the challenge may be, Kathleen is one of those people that will really consider all of the information that's available and do whatever it takes to make sure that her team succeeds. She is extremely skilled at keeping us floating in the right direction, and she's always able to smile through some of those rapids that we go through from time to time. So again, on behalf of the Granville community, but also the district, I want to thank Mrs. Rotes for her commitment to our schools, and it's a pleasure to honor Mrs. Rotes as our classified VIP. And finally, somebody who's no stranger to the district. We look at volunteers, and this is somebody who's been a volunteer in our district for many years and really been a tremendous asset. Mrs. Cindy Fisher, the HUSD Volunteer of the Month. Cindy is an honorary member of the Granville staff because of all the volunteer hours that she puts in, continually goes above and beyond to support the staff. I think Granville might have to wrestle with Glassford Hill Middle School a little bit for Cindy's services, but Cindy is one of those people who's very easygoing, super approachable. Really, it's those two attributes that has really people requesting her assistance all the time. It's really her willingness to step in and help out wherever she's needed. And I could go through a list of all the contributions that Cindy makes at Granville, but that would take up our entire show. I think we're going to leave it at congratulations and thank you, Mrs. Fisher, for all that you do. On behalf of the Granville community and HUSD, we are honored to honor you as the February Volunteer of the Month. So shifting gears, we're going to get into our guests. I promised some outstanding students with us today. We're going to start with Leah Campbell. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
So Leah is a junior at Bradshaw Mountain High School.
Yes.
And I'm excited about this segment because you're going to talk a little bit about HOSA.
Yes.
And I don't know that everybody in our community knows what HOSA is. And so really, let's start tell our viewers a little bit about HOSA. What is HOSA?
HOSA is a student-run organization for future health professionals. So anybody that wants to go into any kind of field of health, psychology, doctor, nutritionist, physical therapist, anything like that. HOSA, it used to stand for Health Occupational Students of America, but now just future health professionals, because we're no longer just in America, we're all over the world. So it's an amazing club. I
It's
love
pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yes.
It's and you guys have quite a few members. Can you talk about the number of students at Bradshaw who are part of HOSA?
Right now, we are split up into 2 different chapters, one for the nursing students and one for the sports med students. Our nursing chapter has about 60 kids in it, and our sports med chapter has about 50, so that's about 110 combined.
Yeah, it's a huge club.
It's massive, yeah.
And really HOSA has a tradition of being really one of the most successful clubs
Thank you.
at Bradshaw Mountain High School. I can tell you, as a former principal of Bradshaw Mountain High School, HOSA was always one of our crowning clubs, if you will. And certainly now, Leah, you are the president of HOSA.
Yes.
And so president of a club that has over 100 students a part of that.
Yes, it's amazing.
Now talk a little bit about what does it look like to be in HOSA? Are students in HOSA taking classes on campus as well in the health occupations, or is that not necessarily a requirement?
It's not a requirement to be in a class, because we start you can start in the club as a freshman, but the idea is eventually to end up in one of our CTE health programs, either our sports med or our CNA, but you don't have to if that's not your path you want to take. But
So you might have some freshmen that are in the HOSA club,
Yes.
and freshmen typically they're not going to be in a nursing program or a sports med
No.
program, because there's some prerequisites that students have
Yes.
to take. You can't just take nursing; you have to take some of your science classes to prepare you for it.
yeah.
But a great opportunity, even as an incoming freshman, to get involved. I know we spoke with the marketing club last month, and they
Yes.
kind of have the same setup. As there's some freshmen in that class or in that club that haven't taken a marketing class yet. So it sounds like it's similar.
Yeah, we're very similar to DECA, just of course different career paths that we want to follow.
So talk a little bit about the classes at Bradshaw. So you talked about a nursing track and you talked about a sports med. What do those classes look like?
Well, the nursing class, it's certified nursing assistants, CNA. It's taught by our advisor, Nancy Valley, an amazing lady. It's one of the required to go to nursing school. So it's a great program because instead of having to take that in college and pay for it in college, you get to take it for free at the school, and that's a certification that you get to go to college with.
Right.
And same sports med is taught by Mr. Blake. There's 2 years of it that you can take, Sports Med 1 and Sports Med 2. He's also our athletic director, so he teaches them that they do clinicals at the games and things, and they come out with a certification out of that too.
Right. So the sports med kids will actually serve as a student athletic trainer.
Yes.
Now, what about the nursing students? Are there hours outside of the school day that you guys
Yes.
talk a little bit about that?
In the first semester, you do skills labs. We have our CNA lab by Nancy Valley's classroom, where students can go in and practice. We have awesome mannequins that they use, and they learn them all. And then second semester, starting in January, they actually go to homes in the area, and they almost shadow the people, and they learn how to interact with the patients and how to do the skills with real people.
Yeah, boy, it sounds like a great experience,
Yes.
especially in a field like healthcare, which is, that's a field that's booming, and especially in this
Yes.
area, to provide that opportunity. Now, you guys, it's not just all academics and practicum hours. There's some competition that takes place.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about competition. I know last year you guys sent quite a few students to the state competition.
Yes.
How many students went to state last year?
About 37 students went to state last year.
So 37 students at state. Now, what happens at a HOSA state competition? What does that look like?
Well, first we get there, we sign in, we go to our opening session, which this room is insanely huge. It's insane, and everyone in there is so excited to be there. And they start off, it's kind of a little rah-rah where they get us pumped up. And then they they'll call out certain people. We do a keynote speaker every year. Like last year, we had someone who told us the story of how he climbed Mount Everest. Or we had someone, his name's Josh Sun, or he only has one leg, but he told us his story. He was a pretty amazing speaker. He was also a comedian. And then after that, we go back to the hotel room. We come back the next day. If we're competing, we go and compete in our competitions. For most competitions, all the written tests, you go in a suit. If it's not written and you have to do skills, you go in a polo. But if you're not competing that day, then you can go to breakout sessions, which are run by either medical professionals or, we had a magician come in and do a talk to us last year because it was an inspirational sort of thing. Or you can go and learn some life skills. It's pretty amazing what kind of people that come and do the breakout sessions.
So talk a little bit about the skills. So if you're competing, you're doing you have to demonstrate a skill. Now, have you been to the state competition in the past?
Yes.
So what was your skill at the state competition?
Well, for some, they're just written tests, and for some you have to perform skills. I do a written test. I competed in epidemiology. You go in. Epidemiology is the study of disease and disease transmission. So like how disease works in the wider population. So I go in and there's 50 multiple choice questions, and then I fill out a case study, which is almost like a investigation at the end that I fill out. That's short answer. And then some people go in and they have judges that watch them and see how well they perform. Like we had my sister and her partner did CPR and first aid last year. So they went in and they practiced their skills and they were judged on how well they did it.
So, and 37 students from Bradshaw State, and if you do well, you qualify for
internationals.
Yes. And how many students last year went to internationals?
We had about 9 students go to internationals last year. To go to internationals, you have to place top 3 in your competition, so we were pretty proud of all of them.
That's great. 9 students internationals, and I think you guys were in Florida.
Yes,
for
it was
internationals,
amazing. In Orlando. Got to go to Disney World.
Well, that sounds great. And this year we have the state competition coming up. It's in April.
Yes.
And you guys will be competing in your various events, and hopefully send some more qualifiers.
Yes.
To internationals.
We would love to take more and more every year. That's our goal.
Well, it sounds like things are going great in HOSA.
Yes.
As I said, great club. Always been one of the strongest clubs at Bradshaw Mountain High School. President Leah Campbell. Thank you for being on the show and sharing really a little bit about HOSA with our viewers.
Of course, thank you for letting me come in and talk about the club.
Absolutely. So as you can see, we have some great students at Bradshaw Mountain High School, great programs. But we're going to shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about what some of our younger students are doing. They just spent some time up in the air, the Right Flight program, if you will. And this is about helping kids reach new heights. And this is a program that was really brought to us with one of our gifted education teachers, Mrs. Bowser. And we're going to speak with some students that participated in the flying of airplanes next. So let's see what else is going on in the school district. So I have 2 elementary students that are going to share a really cool, unique experience that we offer here in the Humboldt Unified School District. We're talking Right Flight program. With me I have Ethan and Olivia, 2 geckos. You guys are from Granville Elementary School. You guys got to fly an airplane. So you guys were in the Right Flight program. So Ethan, tell me, what was that like flying an airplane?
It was really cool. My pilot was like an F-16 pilot, so he had a lot of experience. He explained everything really well. Like he said, do you want to go no G's and everything like that, and we were like floating. It was really awesome, especially when you're in the air. Very good. Olivia, how was your experience? Did you have fun?
It was one of the best things I've ever done, and my pilot was amazing. He was really outgoing. He explained everything and told about his life. It was really cool.
So this program, the Right Flight program, you guys didn't just show up one day and fly an airplane. You guys had to do a little bit of work for this, right? So, Ethan, what did you have to do in order to earn this opportunity?
We had to learn all about lessons, and we had to do like a lesson study of the lesson before we finished it, and we had to do like tests about each lesson, like to make sure we understood each lesson. And we took the final test, which you had to get an 85%, or else you didn't go. So you actually had to focus and concentrate to actually go, because you had to pass the test. And it was like 3 months, so it was a long time, but it was definitely worth it.
3 months of work, right? Lots of tests, and you guys studied what aviation is, right? The history of aviation, and how planes work. That was kind of this process. So this was the all school year you've been working up to this, right? Now, Olivia, you also got to go to Embry-Riddle to kind of help get ready for this. Talk about your guys' field trip to Embry-Riddle. What did you guys do there?
Well, we got to test out some of their simulators, which was really cool just to get a feel for it. It was kind of our kickoff starting the Right Flight program. We got to hear about people who are getting their license and some of the stuff they are doing to get them, and we got to see their lab of the air traffic control lab.
So kind of a cool experience. So it wasn't just flying an airplane. You guys had to take some tests and do some studying. You went on a field trip to Embry-Riddle. You had to do some flight simulators, see their air traffic control training room, right? And now you guys are all doing this a part of what program at Granville? You guys are in the gifted program at Granville?
Yes.
And who's your teacher?
Miss Bowser.
Miss Bowser. And Miss Bowser's pretty great teacher, right?
Yeah.
So she's been doing this in the district for a few years now, and this year 58 students, 3 different weekends of students from different schools going to do this program. How many kids from Granville did you see that got to do this? Do you guys know offhand? It's kind of a hard question. I kind of threw that at you.
There was about like 8.
Probably 8 students from Granville went, and you guys had to go down the night before.
Yeah,
Spend the night,
most of us
right?
did.
We had to be on time,
Yeah.
right? So we had to prepare for that. And so that day that you woke up, you got ready to fly an airplane. You had to be a little bit nervous.
I was
No,
terrified.
you were totally ready.
I was
I'll do
completely
anything.
terrified.
I was not
Ethan
nervous
was
at
totally
all.
ready.
I
Olivia,
was
completely terrified.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
And then, so you were terrified for a little bit, and then it got fun pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right? So tell me what that day looked like. Ethan, tell me what that day looked like. You woke up, you guys went to the airport.
I was really, really nervous though, because it was really foggy. So I was scared they were going to cancel it to another weekend, because you can't fly in the fog, especially with kids flying.
Right.
So I got really nervous, and we had to wait like quite a bit of time to actually go flying because of the fog. We had to wait the fog out, and there was no wind. It was like, come on, wind. But it was definitely worth the wait, definitely.
Yeah. And so then you got assigned your pilot.
Yep.
And you guys got to go up in the air with your pilot. And they helped teach you a little bit how a plane flies. Is that kind of what that looked like?
Yeah.
And then did you guys have, when you were waiting to fly, did they do any lessons, or did you guys have any guest speakers?
We had a safety briefing of what to expect, kind of, and some of the rules. And we just went over some of the stuff we've learned. We did the boldface test again, but it was just to go over it and remember. And then when we actually were with our pilot, we did an inspection of the plane to make sure everything was good. And it was really cool.
Yeah, so what does the inspection of a plane look like? What did you guys have to do for that?
He took us around the whole plane and told us like all the parts and what you don't want to like touch, like when it's moving, like the propeller, like. Right. And he told us that about the ailerons and the flaps and the rudder. He explained every part about when you push the pedals this way, this thing moves that way. And he explained like all this, like what this tool was in the plane. And he explained like why you don't want to go too far nose down and why you don't want to stall, because then you'll lose control. and he told us why you don't want to go too high, and especially this plane, because it can't stand the air pressure. So
Right. So you got to, like, what real pilots, before they go up in the air, they have to go around and inspect their airplane, right?
Yeah.
Kind of a neat experience. And so you spent all school year getting ready for this.
Yeah.
Lots of tests, lots of learning, right? You got to go to Embry-Riddle, and you got to fly in a real airplane, real pilot, kind of go through a safety briefing, all those good things. Would you call this one of your most favorite things you've done so far in school?
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
in,
I
li-
think
in
one of
life,
the
not just in
life.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there were younger students getting ready for this opportunity next year, you would tell them definitely you want to sign up for this.
Yeah. And I would tell them, don't be afraid like I
No,
was.
yeah.
It's awesome.
And so you said you were super nervous,
Yeah.
but then you had the best time. So at what point were you not nervous anymore and you were just having
After
fun?
the safety briefing, I kind of knew what to expect, and I was really excited.
Yeah, and that's pretty normal, right? When anytime you don't know what's happening, we're always a little bit nervous, so that makes a lot of sense. So I don't know. I know that with one of the groups, I think Martha McSally was a guest speaker. Did you guys get a guest speaker for your group? You didn't have
No.
that opportunity. I know that happened with one of our other groups down in Tucson, right? Is that where we flew out of Tucson?
Tucson International.
So, great. So now you guys, next year, 6th graders, do you know what your big project is next year?
The Aerospace Challenge.
Aerospace Challenge. So, and are we excited for that?
Yeah.
So I have to I'll tell you a little secret. Both of my kids had Mrs. Bowser. She's a pretty good teacher.
Amazing.
And they did, when I asked my son, he's in high school now, when I asked him what his favorite thing ever in school was, do you know what his answer is? It's the Aerospace Challenge. So as fun as Right Flight was, it's going to get even more fun for you guys. So that's pretty exciting, right?
Yeah.
So I want to thank Ethan and Olivia for being on the show. You guys flew an airplane and now you've been on TV. So this is a pretty good month for you right now, right?
Yeah.
Great students, great experiences in the Humboldt Unified School District. Big thank you to Mrs. Bowser, who's really played a key role in providing unique learning opportunities for our students. As I mentioned earlier, 58 students from across our district spending 3 different weekends in Tucson going through the Right Flight program, as well as partnering with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University to give our students some really unique experiences. And hopefully that's what you heard today is not just Right Flight, but also at the high school level with the nursing and sports medicine. There's so many different ways for our kids to find those things that they're passionate about. Really excited about what we do for our kids, and I certainly encourage anybody out there in the community, if you ever have questions or you want more information about the programs that we have for our students, please contact our district office. Now, as we wind up today's show, I have a few announcements that I have to make. It is March, that means spring break is coming up. Spring break is March 12th through the 16th. The district office will be observing regular office hours during these times. Understand our school sites may have some limited staff, so I call ahead for each school office as their site hours may vary by location. Also, fingerprinting services are available for volunteers. Again, this is at no cost, and we do this each Tuesday and Friday from 10 a.m. to noon at the district office, 6411 North Robert Road in Prescott Valley, Arizona. And again, please visit our district's website, HumboldtUnified.com, for any important information on district events that are coming up. March is a busy month between our many different events taking place. March 6th, we do have our it's actually not regularly scheduled board meeting, but it is our regular governing board meeting at Bradshaw Mountain Middle School at 6:30 p.m. The following day, March 7th, again, is a Wednesday. That's our 1-hour early release schedule. March 9th is the end of the 3rd quarter. I'll let that sink in for a minute. 3/4 of the school year is gone. I don't know where the time is going, but we are on a 2-hour early release for all of our schools, as that will be the end of the 3rd quarter, followed by spring break the following week. We continue with our Wednesday early releases on March 21st and 28th. And then as a reminder, on March 30th, we do have a spring recess. All of our offices and schools will be closed on March 30th. As we look ahead just to the beginning of April, April 4th, 1 hour early release again, that's a Wednesday. And then April 10th, we're back to our second Tuesday rotation of regularly scheduled governing board meetings. Will be at Bradshaw Mountain High School at 6:30 p.m. Thank you for joining us on today's show. Have a great March, and we will see you for the next edition of the Humboldt Experience. Thank you.
The Humboldt Schools, motivating achievement since 1906.